Today I'll be making a basic white sandwich loaf. Take a look at it. Beautiful and gorgeous. You can cut this as thin as you want it or as thick as you want it, okay? You're watching the Bear Pantry Show. Alright guys, so let's run through the ingredients so we can get our bread started. Here I have 4 cups of all-purpose flour. This is 2 tablespoons of regular white sugar, 2 tablespoons of butter softened. This is 2 tablespoons of powdered milk, and if you don't have that ingredient, don't make the bread because that's necessary to this bread, alright? I'm going to use active dry yeast, and you know I buy this by the pound, so I store it in a jar. And I did a tip before at the site where I taught you how to store your yeast so it doesn't go bad. We're also going to need a cup and a half of warm water, and I just get this from the faucet. I don't measure the temperature. As long as it's not burning my hand, we're good to go. So now let's get started with making the bread. Alright, so this is how we begin. And I want you guys to know that you could put a teaspoon of salt in yours too, but I'm not putting any because the butter that I'm using is salted butter, okay? So I got another big bowl, and what I want to do is pour the warm water in there. And then I want to pour or add my tablespoon of yeast. Remember, it's 1 packet if you're using the packages. Put that in there. And of course, to activate yeast, it's always cool to just go ahead and add the sugar. So we're going to give that like 5 minutes or so to activate. And then when I come back, we're going to be adding the other ingredients. The yeast has risen, so I'm adding in the powdered milk and the butter. And of course, you can always melt the butter in the microwave, but you don't have to because it's going to get mixed in no matter what. I'm using a wooden spoon because I just feel like the nylon spoons are not going to be strong enough. And all I'm doing is adding the flour a little bit at a time to the liquid and then stirring really well to make sure that it gets mixed in, okay? Now, normally when I make bread, I like to add the liquid to the dry, but I'm doing the reverse today, you know, just to try something new. So let's keep adding. Okay, so I have like the last batch of flour here that I'm just going to go ahead and dump in. And if it's giving me trouble to stir with this wooden spoon, I'm going to get my hands in there, but I'm going to try to stir it as best as I can with the spoon before I put my hands in it, alright? So it's right about that time. I'm going to go ahead and get my hand in there and just get it worked around. After mixing it in the bowl for a few minutes, I finally dump it on the countertop, and now it's time to knead. I don't want you guys to ever be afraid of kneading because kneading is fun and it's really simple. All you gotta do is roll it on the counter until it's smooth. Now I stick it back in the same bowl that I made it in, cover it with my clean dish towel, and I put it somewhere dark for about an hour. Look, it's risen beautifully, and now it's time to dump the dough out on the countertop again and re-knead. And if you need flour, just go ahead and use some, but the dough is not sticky, so I'm not going to use any flour. And all I want to do is kind of press out all the air bubbles and measure it against my greased loaf pan to make sure it's not longer than the loaf pan. And you can use a rolling pin to roll it out here, or you can use your hands like I'm doing. The dough is really soft, so my hands are working fine. And then I'm just going to pinch the end and kind of roll it like a towel like this. This is the best way I can describe it. Roll it like a towel. And now it's just a matter of pinching the seams shut, kind of like we did with the baguette. And on the ends, what I'm going to do is just kind of tuck it inside of itself. You know, no magic, just, you know, a little bit of practice. You may need to do that. And here I'm tucking in the other end. And now the only thing left to do is to make sure it's smooth on the bottom. So let me go ahead and flip it over. And it feels good. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my loaf pan. And what I'm going to do now is just press the dough into the bottom of the loaf pan so that the whole bottom is covered with dough, okay? And that makes it rise a little bit more evenly. Now cover it up with my clean dish towel and put it away for about another hour or so. And look, it's risen evenly and it's thick and it's like an inch above the pan, just perfect. So what I want to do now is stick it in the oven, which is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Want to stick it kind of like right here in the center. and just let it bake for about 35 to 40 minutes depending on your oven. And then look, 35 minutes later, it's done. Take it out from the oven and set it on the cooling rack just for a few minutes, maybe about 5 to 7 minutes for it to cool for a little bit. And then what I want to do right away while it's still warm is grease the top with some butter, and you can use a cold stick of butter to do this and just kind of rub it on, but my butter is room temperature, so I'm using a barbecue brush. And after we do this, it's time to take it from the pan, and remember what to do to test if it's done. Flip it over and tap the bottom like this and listen for that hollow sound, and then you know it's done. Look at it, thick, fat, gorgeous. Time to dive in. Okay guys, let's cut. Isn't that just gorgeous? See? When you cut it thin, then you can put two pieces together and make a sandwich. I got my son Josh waiting to grab the first piece. It's still warm. Normally I would wait for it to be cold to cut it, but the people I live with. Look at it guys, nice, soft. Put this together. I'm gonna make a nice sandwich for dinner. So there you go guys, another wonderful bread recipe. For those of you who are not too familiar with the show, you may not know, but I absolutely love making bread. I love getting my hands in the flour, I love kneading it. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and used to play with Play-Doh. I just love shaping and molding and making bread, okay? So I'm going to be throwing a lot of bread recipes at the show as we go along. You know, we have the Belizean pure bread, we have the baguette. I mean, we have a lot of other breads, but these are the ones that I absolutely love and I make it time and time again. So I hope you guys try it. Tell me how yours come out. If you like the video, hit like below for me. Share it with your friends and family. That really helps. And thank you so much for all your love and support. The Belize phrase of the day is, "It give me cold seed." And cold seed is like goosebumps. And so we don't say goosebumps in Belize, we say cold seed. And so when I say, "It give me cold seed," it means that thing gave me goosebumps. You know, whatever it is, the story, you know, whatever. So that's your Belize phrase of the day. Until I see you guys again, take care. Please check out my review channel right here on YouTube. It's called Bear Pantry Talk. Also, check out my vlog channel. It's called Babs Bear Talk.